Hello, fabulous Pisces. Welcome to your horoscope for the month of March 2017. Looking at life and love. I am your astrologer, Nadiya Shah. Thank you for being here. Feels really good to be back on YouTube with the monthly horoscopes. Thank you so much for being here. And what a month it is. What a great time to be back with Venus retrograde in full effect. Actually, as we start this month, it is going to be Venus slowing down to a crawl, and in the first few days will then go retro. Venus is going to go retro in a part of the sky for you that has to do with understanding the value of things, of yourself, of what you're buying, and of money that you spend and the money that you earn. So the thing is, with Venus retro, the key question that comes up for all of us in at least one area of life is, do I love it? That really is key. Do I love it? If you love it, it will grow stronger and more passionate and more committed. If you don't, you will be able to admit that to yourself and change your ways. Well, we've got Venus retrograde, like I said, where it comes to spending, where it comes to earning, and you are going to be looking at your finances a little bit differently, maybe even a little bit more closely, and asking yourself, is this worth the money? Is this worth spending money on? Is this worth giving money to? Is this worth what I have earned? What I put the energy out into the universe, what I got back. Now I'm putting this energy out again to get something back, and is what I'm getting back actually worth it and equivalent to the energy that I'm putting? So there's a couple of immediate ways that this is going to apply. I would be very mindful about spending on anything like very beauty related, or like cosmetic related, whether that's permanent stuff like tattoos or cosmetic surgery, or it is things like clothes or, luxury handbags and things like that. All of that stuff, I would be very cautious right about now. What happens with some people is when you buy things in a different style, and especially in a very different style than you're used to wearing, Venus goes direct and you realize this was not worth it. It was not a purchase that you're planning to stick around for a long time. That's the kind of thing that can happen where it comes to like spending, especially on Venus related stuff like beauty and pleasure and things that have to do with like aesthetics and clothing and jewelry. The finer, the more Venusian it is. But also this part of the sky has to do with earning. And I think about this idea of, do I love it? Do you love what you're doing to earn your money or not? Right now, you're in this extended cycle. You're actually at the tail end of Uranus, moving through this very same part of the sky as well. Now, this has defined the decade for you, having Uranus move through this part of the sky, helping you to understand what things are worth, helping you to understand value, the value of what you do, of your time and your resources, and the value of what you give and what you get in return. So you've been going through this slow process of aligning what you do and the energy you give with something that resonates more with your authentic self, your personal truth, something that has to do with a unique journey and expresses yourself as an individual. Well, now here comes Venus and asks you, okay, that's all well and good. It's authentic. Do you love it? Is your heart in it or not? And if your heart is there, it will just magnify and you'll understand it that much deeper, that what you're doing to earn your money, why it matters to you and what you get out of it beyond just the money. But if your heart is not in it, if love is not there, you're going to be able to see that much more clearly. And you'll also start to come to a deeper acceptance. Sometimes it really is that just the love is not there right now, like it's a little bit tough. But a much more likely scenario is if the love hasn't been there for a while, this is where you start to see it and you start to accept it and start to think about how you can make changes that are going to be meaningful for you. Now, what's really interesting with this is that having Uranus, having moved through this part of the sky, you're now in the last tail end of this cycle. Next year in 2018, Uranus is going to move out and move into this part of the sky. In 2019, will leave for good. You won't see this energy again, probably again in your lifetime, as it only comes around every 80 years or so. So unless you live for another 80 years or so, 84 years, you're probably not going to go through a cycle like this again. And yet, this is enough. Like, this one cycle is enough. And this is where heart starts to come into the mix. Is what you're doing not only authentic, but is there love there? What I also really find very valuable about this particular cycle for you is that with Venus moving through this part of the sky, it encourages you to see yourself and place greater value on what you give. So you're seeing yourself with more loving eyes, and you're understanding something about how prosperity is connected to a state of spirit and a state of soul. And with that connection and with that understanding, you're able to magnify it that much more and affirm the giving of it. Affirm that what you are giving to the universe is valuable and deserves to have more in return. So there can be some very valuable lessons here around prosperity, around self-worth. It's not always the best time with Venus retrograde. Like, during the retrograde might not be the absolute best time to raise your prices, but if you had a different price point before and you want to return to that price point, that could work. More than anything though, I think this is about experimentation. It's about considering other options and considering what is possible for you more broadly. I also do think that a lot of it is really an inside job. And so if you are feeling any resistance, if you're offering something to the world or you're expecting your boss to pay you a certain amount and you're feeling resistance to asking more, well, that is where your work is. This is not the time to mix, like, yes, love in terms of a meta sense, in terms of bringing love to your work is great. Maybe not the best time to actually, start a relationship where you make money. That's where you want to be a little careful, because Venus will go direct next month and things will look different. So it's really important for you and all the water signs out there actually to not mix work with love if you can help it, because again, things can look very different once that Venus goes direct. With this energy, where it comes to matters of love, I think that along with this Venus retrograde, we are having a full moon in your opposite sign. Now that is huge where it comes to love. Coming into this month, you had an eclipse late last month, an eclipse that took place in your sign. I was speaking about this in the weekly horoscopes. This is very powerful. This is very magnanimous. This is very much about you being redefined, in some cases in a split moment. Now, here comes a time for your relationship to reflect that redefinition. In the middle of the month, we are going to have a full moon. This full moon speaking with Saturn, but speaking in harmony with Pluto as well, and speaking with Mercury in your sign. This does say that there might be a little bit of a feeling of a difficult conversation or some negotiation that has to take place in an established bond. This can also suggest a need to feel more deeply understood on a mind level and through words. And yet there could be a feeling of some resistance. It might be tough to have certain conversations with this full moon, but it looks like they are necessary conversations to have if you're going to move towards the type of love you truly desire to experience. If you are in an established bond, chances are your partner is going to be very willing to do that work with you. Saturn, speaking with this full moon, is about commitment. And I think that is going to be a theme. Commitment, the long term. Is your current situation sustainable for the bigger picture or not? And if it isn't, there's going to be a lot of honesty laid out on the table. If this situation is worth the sacrifice, is worth the work, it looks like your partner might be making some plans right about now that need to be negotiated a little bit, or it could be you wanting to make the plans, but it looks like you'll have to be able to explain that and get your partner on board. But ultimately, it looks like you will be understood. That Pluto speaking to that full moon says that things change, and things change in a way that make you feel that positive transformation, deep, significant changes are taking place that are very meaningful to you. For those of you who are open to meeting someone new, there will be somebody. What tends to happen when you've got a full moon in your opposite sign is that someone is there to help you to get a reality check as to where you are in love and what barriers you may have and where it is that you could be more open, or what it is that you really want. You're telling yourself you want something or you feel a certain way, and then somebody shows up and shows you the reality of what's really going on with you in terms of your desire for a relationship or not. So chances are somebody is going to show up to help you to understand these things about yourself. It could be a very powerful experience. As much as there is awareness of where it is that you could be more open, there is also acceptance and change and honesty and liberation at that. There is strength to be had here in the context of love, whether it is new love or established love. What I do really love about this energy for you, though, is that you come to realize that actually you are really willing. You are really good where you are right now, but also you've got a whole lot to give. And there's actually a lot of options out there. There actually is possibilities out there for you in the context of love. With a little bit of willingness, sure, but even if you're not so willing as well, there is love available to you. What I love about this month for you is that understanding of how much of love is about you, how much of love is about self-value. Self-esteem is something that we throw around so much. It's one of those words that is very popularly used, and yet it is something else to actually engage it, to actually experience it, and to actually be moved by it to be better. And this month certainly allows you to use your heart and to use your love to not only make your life better, but to experience a better state of being in so many people around you. Thank you so much for watching. It's really good to be back. Imagine getting a video just like this every single week. Well, now you can with my all new Astro Fabulous Superstar. So you can go on to Astro Fabulous and become one of my superstars, join, sign up, and get a video just like this, giving you an expansive look at the week ahead every single week for your sign and for all the signs for that matter. And you can go onto my website, nadiyashah.com, for that as well. So it's astrofabulous.com to get a video like this every single week, expanded and exclusive horoscopes for my superstars out there. But of course, you being here really is everything. Thank you for being one of my fabulous friends and fans. I'm so grateful for it. It'll be a great month. Enjoy.